And Jeremy, I'm proud of you, to be honest with you, is like, your journey, right? Just coming to the crossover and coming to the pro-am. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, dang, Jeremy's literally interviewed so many people.
Right.
Like, and it's so cool for you to have this platform. You know what I mean? Like, and just think about it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. So for you to have this platform and use it for good and continue to grow, and you're going to view so many more people, like, that's so dope for me to sit back and watch that and watch your interviews. I watch interviews you do with people. I'm like, dang, like, Jeremy really is killing it. And that's so, like, that's a humbling thing. And it's so cool. And I'm proud of you.
Hoop fans all across community. Check in, never know who you'll see. Subscribe and like, you know the deal. Real life on Mike, Jeremy Mills. Hoop fans all across community. Check in, never know who you'll see. Subscribe and like, you know the deal. Real life on Mike, Jeremy Mills. Hoop fans all across community. Check in, never know who you'll see. Subscribe and like, you know the deal. Real life on Mike, Jeremy Mills.
Welcome to the 200th episode of the Jeremy Mills podcast. Now to open the show, Tacoma's finest, Dr. John Gaines.
Jeremy Mills podcast. What's up, brother? Just want to celebrate you, man, as you celebrate 200 episodes. The other day, we celebrated my baby girl's birthday. She turned 2. And as we're preparing for the celebration, we're thinking about the things that we wanted to do, and we thought about the significance of her turning 2. And I looked up the word celebration. The root of that word literally means to honor. And so we wanted to spend the day just honoring my baby girl. And similar to you, as you celebrate 200 episodes, I want to start off by honoring you and thanking you for being consistent. Your consistency has been a lesson, not just to me, but to each and every viewer that watches your shows. Because in the times that we're living in right now, we need consistency more than ever. Like, our dreams come true by consistently showing up every single day. Everything we do and everything we become starts with consistency. And brother, you've been consistent. You've been an example. You've been a voice of reason. You've been a voice of unity. And so I hope and I pray for you and I bless you as you continue to be consistent for 200 more episodes and then 200 more after that. Because you, my friend, are what we need. Not just your voice, but an example. Not just for adults, but for the young kids watching you. The young kids learning how to be consistent. Greatness shows up not by what you say. Greatness shows up every day in our lives by what we choose to do. And you have chosen to be consistent. Therefore, you have embarked on greatness and you are inspiring a city, a region, and a viewership to be great. So I thank you for that, and that's why I celebrate you. The same lessons I teach to my baby girl, I'm going to teach her to be consistent as you teach us to be consistent. 200 episodes. Keep working hard. Thank you so much for your hard work. God bless. Push.
Thank you to Dr. John Gaines for opening up the show. And now, some very special guests. Joining Jeremy, Jamal Crawford, and Johnathan Mills.
Were you at Pro-Am when he came?
Yeah. Jeremy and I were like right on the opposite side of the bench on the floor there. We've been there like all day.
Which one was that?
When Kobe came to Pro-Am.
That was, I can remember that day like it was yesterday. The feeling I had when I like thought he might be coming, I was like, well, he's going to Richard Sherman's softball game. I know Jamal. I know like what he does for the city, and I know like he's gonna ask.
Hey, you know what's crazy about that is like I get like Kobe had a way about him where everybody was kind of nervous around him, right? So even if you competed against him or whatever, he just had this like aura about him. And we started talking. I got comfortable enough where I was like, this is probably now at like, what time was that game? 5 or something? 5, 6, somewhere in there?
Probably like 6.
5:30. So it got to like 2:30 or 3. You have to go back and check the tweets. And I was like, Cole, man, every time somebody comes to Seattle, you know, they think I can get him to Pro-Am, right? He didn't know nothing about it. And I'm like, you think you could stop by? And he's like, you're playing? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I'll stop by. And his guy that was with him from Nike, a rep, was like, no, we got to go. The plane's leaving. He's like, no, the plane's going to stay. He brought his whole family. And like, it was really at the spur of the moment. And I'm kind of glad it worked out that way because think about if I had said Kobe was coming even the day before, right? Like it would have been chaos. It would have been mad. It still was packed and everything, but it would have been like 5 times worse. So,
but the way it worked out
how it should have.
Exactly, because the true Pro-Am fans were there. You know, it wasn't like, you know, not that they're not true basketball fans or whatever, but the people that are coming like week to week.
Right. The ones who come every single week when there's a few hundred people there. You know what I mean? So that was cool for them to see.
Mm-hmm. And man, this is not a better way to start. Thank you for coming on. It's the 200th episode of the Jeremy Mills podcast. I'm here with 2 of the most important people in the podcasting game for me. Johnathan Mills, my brother, and Mr. Jamal Crawford, freshly Brooklyn Net. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. That's a heck of an introduction. So thank you. Appreciate it.
And if you don't know this, Johnathan is the guy who like introduced me to the Pro-Am. So we had been separated.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we had been separated for a long time. I moved up here after high school, and like we'd bonded over basketball and playing basketball like we played basketball today. Went and played some 21 today. He won one, I won one, but we would play, and then we heard about the Pro-Am when it was still at Rainier Beach Vista. You know, the Boys and Girls Club.
Yep.
And like coming from a small town and being able to see that was like, I'll try to never forget that feeling, you know?
No, you should never forget it. Like that's like a cool thing. I did something actually, I did an interview a while ago, and it'll come out here soon, but it was like that feeling, right? Like the feeling that it takes you back to when you were like growing up and the things you used to dream about doing, the people you used to dream about seeing or meeting, and like those things like coming to fruition. Like think about it, Johnathan, did you ever think even when you were coming before that Jeremy would be like the lead guy at our Pro-Am interviewing everybody and doing so? Like that's so cool. Like thinking back to where, you know what I mean? Like that's a really cool thing. Really, really cool.
Yeah, we used to like joke about
think about that. Think about that. Like you used to joke about it, right? And now like it's happening and bigger and better things are happening. That's really cool.
No, we really did used to joke about it. Like even right before I started doing the podcast, like if you go back and listen or start doing the Pro-Am podcast, you go back and listen to those episodes, and I'm joking about it. Like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen, but you know what? I'm still going to the Pro-Am. I still love those guys. I'm still going to support.
And now, like, think about it. Think about the people you've interviewed and the things you've done, and like that's like so cool to me. Like that's one of the coolest things to come out of the Pro-Am. For me, it's like watching. Yeah, like absolutely. Because the way you're looking at it is how I was looking at it when I was a player. Like, and I wasn't known. I was a 16-year-old kid, and I was looking on the court like, man, there's Doug Christie or Sean Kemp. Like, you know, if they even know my name one day, maybe one day I'll play against them in the pros, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, it was like unbelievable. So I kind of understand what you're going through, or what you're, you know, the emotion of it as far as dealing with it, which is cool.
One of the most common questions I get, and this is pretty much my only question for you for this 200th episode, is, you know, how did this start? How did you start doing all these interviews? How did you meet Jamal Crawford? All of this. So from your perspective, Jamal, like, how do you remember all this starting for me?
I remember, I don't really forget faces, right? So I remember seeing you around. I remember we even took a picture before after one of my games, but I remember seeing you around, and just like Johnathan didn't think I remember that, but I did. So I remember we took a picture. It was a cool looking, it's a cool looking picture. But I always noticed how like most people are like when they want to do something, right? They're kind of like pushy, and they're really and that's not a bad thing because you're chasing your dream and everything. But I just noticed your demeanor was kind of like mine would be if I was trying to get something accomplished, right? I'd like I would let you know, hey, I think I could be an asset here, but no pressure. Whenever you get time, if you can ever reach back out or, if the opportunity presents itself. But you weren't the guy that was pushy where I saw you and I wanted to go the other way, right? I saw you and I was like, nah, I like him. I don't really know him well, but I've been watching him for a little while and then just seeing you and seeing how consistent you were, seeing how respectful you were. I don't know. You just always, in a way, you just were like a star in your role, if that makes sense. Like in your role, you just started it. You didn't try to be anything you weren't. And I just respected it. And I think I'm a good reader of people. So, because you got to think there were a lot of people before you that wanted to do that, right? So
I can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah. So I got a lot of, man, what do you do? A lot of that as well. But I was like,
wow.
Nah, So on that part of it, when I said, yeah, and we moved on with it, like I felt good about it. Obviously it's a little nervousness, but I felt really good from the start and it's just grown.
That's what I can't imagine is how many people, come at you that you don't know for stuff like that. And as much as I, tried to be as respectful as I could, it still felt like every time I talked to you, I was asking for something. And I hated that. And it was like,
oh no, and I never took it like that. I really didn't. I never took it like that because you weren't like pushy or over the top. You're just almost like, hey, if this opportunity comes, I'm here. I think I would do a good job. I think it'd be good for the pro-am. And you kind of kept it like that. You know what I mean? Which that kind of piqued my interest as far as like, oh, okay, like he's confident. He's not overbearing. He's not pushy. I think this can work. And, it's worked out even better than I thought it could.
Thank you. Johnathan.
Like I listen to you, not to cut you off. I listen to your podcast with other people. Like, now I'm just a fan. Like I listened to the one with Rob and his brother. I listened to the one with Kenny Mayne. I listened to the one with Zach. I've listened to so many of them. Yeah. And I listened to the one with Snow. Like I listened to so many of them. It's like just a fan now, which is really, really dope.
That's crazy. I'm speechless. Johnathan has to go now. It's Johnathan, how do you remember this starting?
I was going to say I had a really distinct memory of going to the pro-am for the first time because I remember Rashad Powell before we knew that name, working the door at Rainier Vista. And I think we really started going every day the following year in like 2013, I think.
So was that SPU then?
Yeah, first year at SPU.
Yeah,
right?
That's when we moved there. Yeah.
And I think it was the summer after our mom died. And so I think that was like, we went like every weekend after that, and I think that was like something we needed at that point. Mm-hmm. So we kind of wondered if like because Jeremy hit you up on Twitter and was just like, you need a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we were there like almost every weekend, so we're like, maybe he just like remembered his face,
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Well, thank you, man. I've said it a lot, but it really is important to me to say thank you, not only because like I think about it, you were one of my favorite players even before you did all of this. Just one, like your style of play. Awesome.
Right.
So much fun to watch.
Thank you.
And then two, seeing what you did for the city, just on that base level of the pro-am and giving back and doing that every weekend, filling that void, giving the opportunities for players and stuff. I thought that was really cool. But then the more I got to know you, I was like, what a great person. And that's said a lot about Jamal Crawford, so I'm not breaking any news there, but like just on a level of seeing you every weekend, seeing you interact with everyone from like your family to fans to players to everything. It was really cool and a really, really unique opportunity that I really try not to take for granted. But the sum up of all this is I'm more proud to know the person Jamal Crawford than the basketball player any day. And
thank you.
If I could be like you, and you can see me like that, see yourself in me the tiniest bit.
I do.
Man, that's an honor. Do. That's an honor. That's don't know what to say.
No, I definitely do. Like I feel like we have the same outlook on life. You know what I mean? Just treating people the way you want to be treated. No, there's no big me's and little you's. Everybody's a person. You respect everybody. You try to make everybody feel comfortable. You know, you try to make everybody feel welcome no matter what situation it is. And no, I think all three of us, I believe, you know, have that. Just guys, genuine people with good hearts, and that's really about it. Everything is like, that's the root of everything, and then everything else kind of grows from there.
And the last thing on the basketball side of it is you also not only gave me an opportunity, but gave Johnathan an opportunity also back at your camp. Yeah, letting him speak, like letting him do his tutor thing. That was like, for me, you know, you letting me do my thing was cool, but seeing that like tear up, you know, like, oh, that's my brother out there.
You know what's crazy is when I talk about the camp, that part of it is one of the main things I always go to. Like, I always show off about that part. Like, yeah, we had an SAT. Like, that part is like one of the coolest things. And kids don't understand that right now, but the parents understand it, and the adults understand it, and the kids will understand it. And it's just like, that's one of the coolest pieces of the camp. And we're actually going to bring the camp back hopefully next summer. You know, we're going to do it this summer, but obviously with everything going on. So next summer.
It'll be great.
And Johnathan, you have to be there. So
yeah,
you're like the officially part of the team now. So that's just how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, anything anything that we can do, like, we're there.
From sweeping floors. Yeah. We thought that would be a good job first, you know. That was like, all right, we can sweep the floors maybe there, you know.
No, none of that. None of that. You guys are starring your role, so we're good there.
And the thing I want to finish with here is something I know, Jamal, you and Johnathan have connected on a little bit over these last couple weeks and months is the movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, the protest in Seattle. Jamal, shout out to you for organizing some, that one event that I saw on Twitter. That was great to see. Seeing you out there with the bullhorn was awesome. Johnathan, that was, what did you see that you liked so much about that, seeing Jamal in that role?
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it's at each step in the process, there's been something that like really, took me aback about Jamal and about the pro-am and stuff. You know, at first it was just like, man, that's crazy that like he's here every weekend, and you know, he's an NBA player. He could be like anywhere in the world during the summers, and he's here. So that was cool. And then, seeing the way that you interact with people just on like a personal level is really cool. Just like, you know, you get relentlessly asked for things and autographs and like staying after till the gym's empty to signing autographs. And that was like another level. Yeah. And then like Jeremy said, I mean, before all this, you were one of my favorite basketball players too. And so like all of this stuff. And then on top of all that, it's been really cool to see you speak out on social media about some of these issues. And so that was just like like icing on the cake for me.
Thank you. Wow, thank you. For me, it's like anybody that knows me, like once I'm comfortable, I'll talk, and I'll make everybody feel welcome, but I really open up to people I'm comfortable with. But so it's a little different, kind of putting yourself out there. But I just feel like it's like for the greater good, and I'm okay saying that. And like it's just like it's unbelievable to watch. A person get lynched in 2020, right? Like to like beg for his life, and that like struck a chord with everybody. And the guy's smirk on his face while he was killing Mr. Floyd was just like, and it's almost so crazy the fact that it's happening so much, like even with cameras, right? It's like it's just like, oh man, what's next? We almost expect like, what's next? What's coming next, right? What's going to be trending on social media? So that part's amazing as well. And like, I just like the rally, it was more organized by Will Conroy, to be honest. It was his idea and his brainchild, and I wanted to support him any way I could. And we then start brainstorming stuff. But like you want to let the community know that you're feeling the same things they are, right? Like they have a voice here. They have leadership in place where we can get things done. And that's what I said when I was there. I was like, hey, whatever concerns we have on a local level, I gave them a email. I'm like, let's email these concerns, and I promise you I'll get us a seat at the table to get these things changed and corrected, because it starts like voting. We have to get people and local communities who are voting, who want to see people in those powers, the positions of power, that we have the same vision as us. And so it's not just voting on a national level for president. It's like voting for your local stuff, local government, local senators, local everything, to kind of start changing your community. So yeah, I've been really vocal with that, and I will continue to be, because you kind of have to be the voice for the voiceless in that situation.
And you play that role so often, and it's just great to see. I appreciate your time so much, Jamal, from all the times that you've done the podcast to now from Orlando in the bubble. That's a new thing on the Jerry Mills podcast.
This is the only time I've done an interview. Like, I've text quotes and stuff. This is, of course, I had to do it for family. It's the only time I've done an interview in the bubble, when people have asked me all over. But
man,
nope.
That's love.
You guys got it. Family, man. This is episode 200. That's like a blessing. That's special. So we had to jump on.
Man. Thank you very much.
This is my first podcast, so I had to.
You said what?
Yeah, this is my first one, so it took 200.
Yeah, so
for Germany.
There you go.
I'll be back for like 400.
I like that. Every 200 you pop up.
That's right.
He's like, it's the 200th episode, and Jamal Crawford's going to be on it. And I was like, all right,
I'll jump on there.
He'll consider. He has a car now. We'll end with that. Johnathan has a car. He went from being last to get his license like 6 months ago to now being a driving man in a car.
Oh yeah.
I got my license on my I got my license on my 33rd birthday.
Congratulations to that.
Yeah.
Hey, just drive until you run out of gas. Just go have fun with it.
Yeah.
He's already got the basketball in the car. It's Jamal Crawford and Jonthan Mills for the 200th episode of the Jerry Mills podcast. Thank you both for everything you do.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys, man. Anytime. I'll be back.
Thank you to Jamal and Johnathan for coming on and for their continued support of the podcast. It's time to bring in a group of very special guests. These people have not only impacted the podcast in a very big way, but impact their community every day. Please welcome Arvin Mosley Jr., Rachi Wortham, Chris Hansen, Alvin Snow, and Mark Wilkerson.
All right, welcome back. It's the Jerry Mills Podcast 200th episode special with a very special group of leaders in the community, group of mentors. I'm proud to know all these guys. So with Arvin Mosley, can I have you introduce yourself, and we'll go around and say hello.
Yeah, Arvin Mosley Jr., Triple Impact Coaching.
Alvin Snow, Worldwide SM, and Euro Stepping Podcast.
Boom. Mark Wilkerson.
At Hoop Official is the handle.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Chris Hansen.
Yeah, Chris Hansen. I own Elite Earn Basketball, and I'm on the McDonald's All-American Selection Committee.
And last but not least, Mr. Rachi Wortham.
Rachi Wortham, Tacoma, Washington. I work for Country Financial.
Group of very impressive people. If you haven't listened to the podcast with them, all great podcasts, the times that they've been on. So just first, thank you all for being here, making the time in your busy schedules. You're all independent contractors in a way. You know, your time is very valuable. You're jumping from meeting to meeting and looking like a CEO while you do it. As always, Rachi Wortham, the best dressed guest in the podcast history. But what I wanted to just talk about here as the tipping off point is, what does mentorship mean for you? I just think about the amount of lives impacted with this group of people. It's crazy. It's through the game of basketball, but it's, on and off the court. So, Chris Hansen, I'll let you start.
I think the hardest part about defining mentorship is you just don't know how you're going to end up helping these kids. Well, at least that's been my experience in the last 15 years. Kind of, some people need you for basketball and advice, and some people just need you to help them make the right decisions just in life. And I think being flexible that way makes for a good mentor, knowing, like what your role is to each kid you get a chance to impact. That's kind of, I feel like, where I've been successful and been able to grow that role of what I do beyond just running a basketball camp and writing an evaluation. So to me, like, you don't, if you make yourself available, and you might be the guiding light to get somebody from point A to point B, you don't even know it.
One of the conversations I just was having with a guy that I'm close with is, what do you look for upon meeting someone? And one of the things he said is he looks for any way that he can add value. And I don't know if this is a matured position, but I actually look for, because I know what's going to happen when I'm involved with someone, I'm just going to give, right? Maybe even to a fault. So what I have to try to do now at this point is do what I can to protect me. And so in all the giving we can all do, we have to also be mindful of taking care of ourselves. And I know that's not necessarily the answer to the question you're asking, but I think that's a point that we just need to make sure we touch on in addressing your question. So I guess to answer your question, I'd say I second everything Chris said, man. I just think that whenever you get opportunity to pour into people's lives, you just want to be there the best way you can and support them in any and every way that you possibly can. That's really it for me.
It's a great point, because the words mentorship and saying, helping people out and stuff is so easy to do. And it doesn't really tell you all the stuff that goes into that, all the real time and work and emotion and realness and all that. So it's a great point.
Mm-hmm. And failure. Don't forget about failure. Sometimes you're trying to walk a path or get someone to walk a path and they're not going to do it. And you don't bail. You just, it's a little bit like, parenting. You just, you could do the best you can with the impact that you have on them.
I'd say, a good mentor steers, right? And just kind of, and sometimes it's a gentle steer. Sometimes it's a more of a harder push, but a good mentor is going to see what that person needs, right? Like both guys said, everybody needs something a little bit different. And if you're pouring into them and what they really want is to be heard, and we're doing all the talking at them and we're telling them what to do, sometimes a good mentor is a good ear. And you just kind of direct the conversation a little bit, steer the conversation a little bit. But ultimately, a good mentor has to understand that it's about the other person. No matter what, if you're mentoring somebody, it's about the other person. I think a good mentor understands that, right off jump.
Rachi, when I say mentorship or, bring that up, what do you think? What comes to mind?
Input if possible, and try to figure out what their lens is, because everybody's lens is different. So if there's a kid who is struggling in one regard, I need to figure out what that regard is. Also lifting as I climb. So as I move up the pole, to be able to bring some people along with me so they can do the same thing and just trickle down effect.
Yeah, I agree with all that. From my experiences, it's you got to meet people where they're at. You got to meet everybody where they're at. Everybody has different stances, has different backgrounds. So if you try to meet them where they're at and go from there, it usually works out for the better, or it's an easier transition. And also, your words are meaningful, but your actions are they provide much more of a bigger impact. So you can say something, but as soon as you show them and you do it, it's like, it has a bigger impact from my experiences. So your words or your actions, are greater than your words.
And I would love to just say that in our community, in the Black community, especially when I'm working with young people, my actions my words don't mean nearly as much as what they see from me. The consistency, Mark, one of the favorite things that Mark and I always talk about, whatever it is in this whole wide world, you got to be consistent. And I think mentoring is, especially to young Black men, we have to, if those are the men that you're working with, you've got to be consistent. You can't show up once a month and think that they're going to buy into that. Or if it is once a month, cool, but it's got to be once a month consistent. You can't pop in and out of these folks' lives, these young people's lives, if you want to make that impact. Like Mark said, your actions, man.
Well, we already go through that as it is in some of our own households. So in our upbringing. So,
yeah. And I just got off another Zoom call earlier today, and I was explaining to them that depth is always the key, at least for me. Is how deep can you dig inside that person? Like how deep of a relationship can you develop with that person? The deeper you can get with the relationship, the more you can pull out of them, right? At least that's been my experience. So,
yeah, I agree. And like young adults, kids, whatever you want to say, they have a different way of reaching out. You know what I mean? Like you can tell when they reach out, and they all have a different way of doing it. And they might show on the surface that they don't want to be held accountable, But when you hold them accountable, consistent, like Mo said, it shows that you care. So they're like, oh, okay, he really does care about me. He's just not up in my tail getting on me, holding me accountable. But he actually does care about what I'm doing, what my life holds.
That follow-up is huge. That follow-up, right? You say something or you tell them you're going to do something, you got to follow back up.
You got to hold yourself accountable as well.
Hold yourself accountable too.
When do you think you realized the power of that mentorship? Was it when you were young and being mentored yourselves?
I'll take that one. My thing is, in high school, I wasn't a very good basketball player. And growing up, I wasn't a very good basketball player. But basketball was a mainstay. It's what made me thirsty. It's what made me hungry. It's what made me drive. It's what made me have the mentality I have. But the coaches in the neighborhood were my father figure. I never had a dad growing up. My granddad was my dad, but I never had a dad in my life. And so I looked at those coaches as father figures, and I didn't really understand it until I got to high school, when some of those guys were still reaching back to me, finding out, what are you going to do after high school? How are you going to operate? I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to go to college somehow. But then they were still pushing on me and saying, hey, you need to do A, B, and C. That was big for me, and that's when I figured it out.
Adversity. Going through my own adversity, knowing what I've gone through, and just, being able to relate to just seeing maybe the pain or like I said, kids reaching out, when someone's reaching out to you, you can tell. You're like, oh, okay. They're acting out maybe they're acting out. So I knew it clicked when I could relate to, some of these young adults, kids that I've gone through the same stuff that they went through. We can share stories, and hey, man, I've been there.
Sometimes I even forget, that impact. I share Mark and Mosley know this because I'll forward emails or share them stories. It's when the parents of some of these kids that I'm around, maybe isn't even one of the it kids that everybody's trying to pay attention to and gas up and put on Instagram and get famous off of, but just a random parent that picks something you said that wasn't that mind blowing when it came out of your mouth. It was just a little bit of input, and it makes it, a huge impact. And you hear about it. That's kind of like, sometimes I need those reminders, because we with the camp business and how we go about, going through 150 kids at 6 different cities throughout the country throughout the year. Sometimes you just feel like you're just one of the things that happens, in their lives. But sometimes, you just need that little reminder that it doesn't take much. And that, I think it probably clicked for me the first time I got that kind of feedback. It's like, oh, okay.
I think for me, man, I think that Rachi was my teammate in college. I played against him in high school. I think Mosley knew me when I was in high school. I think anybody that has known me since I was a kid, they would tell you that I was a leader then. So that's just something that I've been that way my entire life. I've had to grow into becoming a better leader all throughout my life, but I feel like that's something that God gave me. And so I just leaned into it, right? For me, at least. One thing I do want to touch on, though, is some of us, man, it's really hard being in these positions at times, right? It's not the easiest thing to do, but if the small things, like Chris said, bring you the greatest joys. I often get messages from parents about the guys that I work with, and sometimes it makes me emotional, even the responses I get, just because I'm not making $1 from that response. I'm not making, and it means more than when that money hits the account. I say that genuinely. And so for me, that it gives me great purpose. And so that also is reassuring that, you know what, you're doing the right thing, man. Stay in this. So.
Someone brought up mistakes being obviously part of being getting better as a leader. What mistakes can you think of that you made on your journeys?
I think with the topic of mentoring, I probably didn't accept mentoring very well. Right? The first time that someone said, hey, what about this? Or why aren't you doing that? I was offended by that, as opposed to being open to what that person was saying. I took offense to it. Like, oh, they don't like me. They don't respect me. They don't believe in me. They don't trust me. And I think sometimes as a mentor now, I try to really teaches, just really taught me how to be a better mentor, because I remember the first time someone said, "Why are your players doing that? Why are your kids acting like that?" When I was a coach, and I was like, "What?" And I was offended by it. And so it really colors how I treat others. So I try to make sure to not give that hard feedback too early until we've established a good rapport to where that feedback is accepted. Now, all of us on this call know each other. We've known, I know not everyone knows it, but I've known Mark for 20 years. I've known Hansen for the last 5, 7. I've known Rachi and Alvin since they were teenagers. I think all of us feel pretty comfortable if we needed to mentor each other, to not be like, I don't like Alvin because Alvin gave me critical feedback. But I think that's part of learning how to be a good mentor, is because you had to go through some of those struggles already. And so, you make a point of, every once in a while you got to make a call or send a text to somebody that you mentor, and it's a tough call or a tough text. But if you have a good relationship with them, they're not offended by that necessarily. That might not feel good at the time, but they at least accept it for what it is. And that's me trying to help you.
Yeah.
I think what I struggle with early on was figuring out when to not be a know-it-all, because you're giving advice. You're supposed to have the answers, right? And sometimes you just need to shut up. And that's been a big growth thing for me, because, I'm not a parent yet, so I haven't had those battles with my own, but I've learned a lot of those lessons just from, like, you can see where something's going, and you give the advice, but you can't have those "I told you so" moments over and over and over again. You got to read the room a little bit on that kind of stuff. So I think in terms of mistakes, if that was what we were talking about, is like, that was been one of the bigger ones for me to deal with, is like, you might know the answer, but they're not listening right now, or they're not going to hear it, or it's just the timing's wrong.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes to a little bit like being a parent, right? Like sometimes we protect our kids so much because we try to give them all the answers and keep them safe, that they don't get a chance to grow and learn because of making the mistakes. And you nailed it, Hansen. That's part of being a mentor. Sometimes they got to mess up. Sometimes we have to watch them fail, but be there to give them a hug and a high five and help them up off the ground.
We all got a couple of those.
Yeah. I agree with most. I mean, and Christie. But I think my mistakes came in terms of grace, and just the way that I'm built, or the way that I was built, especially young. I just thought that you just had to be hard, and tough, and right. And I realized that it's okay. Like, everybody's not built that way, and that's okay. Like, right. And I've had to learn what grace is and what it looks like, and how I can use it to benefit, the group or the person or whoever it is that I may be dealing with. Right. So grace has been probably where I've made the most mistakes and where I've learned the greatest lessons.
That's funny you say that, Al, too, because I had to catch myself a couple times that was somebody that wasn't a very good basketball player or made bad basketball decisions, and I'd find myself not liking them.
Yeah.
No, just because you dribble off your foot doesn't make you a bad person, but start to I don't like this guy. Well, why don't you like him? Well, because he doesn't take care of the ball. And you're like, wait a minute, now listen to that. Now that don't make sense.
Right.
But I've been there before. And so, it's funny that you said that. Like, it takes grace to say, you know what? Being a basketball player is one part of it's just one part of who somebody might be. Or being an athlete is just one part of who they might be. And having that grace to not think that just because they're not a very good free throw shooter that they're not going to be a good dad, right? It doesn't equate.
No, I had to get to a place in my life where basketball was no longer my identity for me to be able to even see that, right? And that was not true for me throughout my youth and to be honest, throughout much of my young adult life. So this is a newer concept for me, right? But it's a healthy one.
My biggest thing I thought I was this tough guy because of the neighborhood I grew up in and things I had to deal with. But I was afraid in one regard. I never wanted to ask questions. I never wanted people to not know I knew. I was always the guy that had the answer. And so I think Chris hit it on the head where you don't have all the answers. You got to humble thyself. And so I had to humble myself and say, hey, listen, man, just ask the question because somebody else probably needs to know too.
I mean, where do I begin? Maybe, caring too much. So caring too much. So, like, I mean, sometimes you can care too much, right? And you're trying to help them out. You're doing whatever you can, and they don't want to help themselves. So you have to let them fail and then come back around, which I've had one of my closest guys that happened to us. And now we're back rolling. We've been back rolling, but I had to let him fall off and then notice what he's been missing. Then we connected back and shoot. Now he's on his way again, So, I mean, like knowing when to turn it on and turn it off, I guess. If that's the way of putting it. I know that was just the best example that I could come up with.
That's good. And it all kind of leads me to me being from Goodland, Kansas, small town in western Kansas. So I always think about when meeting people like you and Mark and Rachi and Alvin and Chris, I hope they have people in their cities like that, or are looking up to people like all the people you've been hearing talk. If you were in a position where you were put into a different place, or you were a different person listening to this in a position of leadership is probably a better way to put it. What would your first step be to becoming a good leader, to making an impact with people, to creating a community like the Seattle basketball community?
The first thing I would, can I jump in?
Yeah.
No.
The first thing I would do.
We don't want to hear from you.
Hey, you know what's funny? You know what's funny?
I love you, man. I love you, dude.
No, what's funny is the reason I wanted to jump in is so we didn't have to hear from you. But no, man, I think that the first thing you have to do is understand that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So you should listen twice as much as you talk. And really take heed to what people need, right? Just listen and learn what people need, and then figure out how you can be a resource. Maybe you can't. Maybe you can't serve these people, right? Maybe you're the wrong guy. Maybe you're the wrong fit. But figure out if you can, and then kind of slowly move from there. But that would be the first thing for me. I try to always listen before I move.
As you saying that, Alvin, and it reminded me, as a head coach, and I was assistant athletic director too, and I'd be on interview committees, and these people would come in and they'd have these thick coaching notebooks that had all the answers in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but bro, you've never been on our campus. You've never talked to the vice president. You don't know the environment.
Right.
And come with answers. And I think all of us in here are type A when we're on the court. When we're off the court, we all have different personalities. But if the 6 of us were on the basketball court, we would all be leading each other, but we'd all take turns. And I think sometimes you walk into an environment and you immediately, I'm a leader. And like you said, you got 1 mouth though, and you got these 2 ears.
Yeah.
And I think the great leaders understand that. And they know that I have answers. I don't have all the answers.
And I don't know what they are yet.
And I might not have your ansers. Go ahead, Alvin.
Right. Yeah, I was agreeing with you, and I may not know what they are for you here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So recognizing that, I think, is huge. I think being able to walk in and get and take the temperature, right? We were laughing earlier about taking temperatures, but I think you got to walk in and take a temperature of the room, the community, the environment, the team, the program, whatever, the city, wherever you are. You've got to take a moment just to get a feel and get an understanding before you come in and like Hansen said, be a know-it-all, right? Nobody likes a know-it-all.
I think that's all dead on. So we'll move on to the second thing that you need to do, because if you can't listen, obviously, like they crush that. So I think realizing that being a leader it's hard, and that for you to be accessible, sometimes it's going to be inconvenient. Like it's really hard to be a leader just when it's easy for you. I know I give that advice a lot of times to kids that are struggling with their own self-confidence. Well, if you focus on everybody else, you forget about your own BS. But I think leadership isn't for everybody. And if you're not willing to be inconvenienced and uncomfortable and maybe not always take the popular position, then You know, I know coaches say it all the time. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that goes for leadership, because you got to be ready to go when you're needed.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit a lot of things. First and foremost, obviously, you got to listen. But I always say, somebody said temperature. I say the same thing in a different way. A lot of companies talk about culture. A lot of basketball teams talk about culture. But I challenge them and say, hey, what's the climate in that culture? Because culture is what you see, kind of buzzwords, and climate is how you feel. And so I also heard a statement that said, you give the laziest person the hardest work. I'm not saying this is always true, but a lot of times these suckers at the bottom are working the hardest and see the most stuff. So somebody like a janitor, if you talk to the janitor and ask them what the climate is, what the feel is, how people treat each other, they'll tell you the truth, because they're behind the scenes watching. They don't really get heard. You don't really see from them that much, but they're doing the real work and they understand what's really going on. So if you talk to people about, they may not understand the social norms of what's going on there, but if you can talk to the leaders about the social norms coming from the janitor, you can learn a lot in there.
I think, those are all great points. I was thinking along the same lines of all those. Leaders tend to, you can't do everything by yourself. Who said that earlier? Someone said that. The leaders they build a good team around them. They delegate, they listen, obviously, like everybody was saying, and because you can't see everything, right? So you build a good team, you put somebody else on, like Hansen. Hansen put me on. He's built a great team. Shoot, he's helped my reputation. He's definitely helped my business. No question about that. So, great leaders have good people around them.
In the same way, like Mosley and Mark do the same thing for me. They're always peppering me with ideas and feedback, and sometimes I don't want to hear it. And I just think you get what you surround yourself with too. So piggybacking off your point, Mark. Yeah. A leader isn't always by themselves, right?
I think you guys have all shown that. I mean, thinking about, taking it back to the 200th episode and accepting me as, I think about Al Snow inviting me to his house that one time, that first ever podcast we did. That was, as far as acceptance and extending an olive branch, that was huge. And that did a lot for me. And, even connecting with every single one of you, Chris doing what he's done for me, Alvin and or Arvin and Mark, everything they've done. And then even Rachi behind the scenes, if you asked people that listen to the podcast, they'd be like, yeah, his episode was awesome, but they wouldn't realize what he's done behind the scenes is, just when somebody calls you and checks in 2020, that doesn't happen anymore,
Temperature check.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about leadership too, and I could have a story on every one of these guys where I've led them or they've led me. I've been in the gym with every one of these men, and I have worked for Rachi and did exactly what he said. And at the same time, we've worked together where I was in charge, and I said, Rachi, I need this, and Rashi's like, no problem. That's leadership, right?
Sure.
That's leadership. I've been in the gym with Alvin, Mark, Chris, and where they were the boss or I was the boss, but it was never about that, because you get a bunch of leaders together that understand the big picture. We're trying to run a camp, or we're trying to do a showcase, whatever the case may be. You got to understand that we all got to play different parts. But I've been there, and like I said, I've been with Alvin, and Alvin was in charge, and it's like, yep, cool. What do you need me to do, Alvin? And conversely, I've been the one in charge. Hey, Alvin, man, I need you over here. Cool, no problem. We've all been in those environments. And I think that's partially what makes Seattle Tacoma basketball special. I think that's part of what makes it special. And I think that's part of what makes these guys on here, men that you continue to have around, Jeremy, because these guys are more than just basketball people. Talk about leaders, mentors for each other and in the community. So, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the stories I told on your podcast to support your point, Arvin, is one of the blessings I've had is playing every role at every level. So I've been a role player and the guy and everything in between in high school, college, and at the pro level. And what that taught me is, as long as winning is the objective and we clearly define what winning looks like, I don't care what my role is in it. I'm with it. Let's get it. Yeah, take it in for the team. To me, that's leadership. I agree.
Mm-hmm. On all levels. And that's what I love about basketball is you would think this whole conversation would be, all basketball people, but it's what basketball teaches you and the qualities about it and life. And so I appreciate it. Everybody who's taken the time today, thank you. Very much so appreciate it. But then more so everything you've done for me as a person, huge. Confidence-wise, connecting with all you guys. Obviously, I have a huge amount of respect for every one of you, and there's a reason why I brought you 5 people on here together. So thank you. Thank you very much for what you've done for me again, but also what you've done for the podcast, because definitely would not be the same without you guys.
Appreciate you, boss.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Jay Mills.
Jay Mills, great platform that you provided for a lot of us too, man, to have these opportunities. I mean, I'd never been on the podcast until I was on yours. Now I've done been on 20 times. But, you set it off, and gave us a chance. And so, appreciate you putting a spotlight on these people too, that you continue to spotlight great people in our community and great leaders, men and women in the Seattle, Tacoma, Washington State community. So I definitely appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother.
Al, did you have a podcast to plug? I thought I heard something earlier.
Oh, yeah. I started what's called the Euro Stepping podcast, man. We're doing, it's pretty cool, man. You should check it out. We're interviewing former players, but it's strictly overseas guys. We're interviewing former high-level guys and current high-level guys, just getting their story, because what I believe is so many guys, everybody thinks they're going to the NBA, right? We know that, right? But we know that's not true, right? Everybody can't make it. There's not enough spots. So for the guys who want an opportunity to go play overseas, and this is something that can give you all the seasoning in the game that you're going to need to at least prepare you for what you're getting into, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
It's awesome too. Stuff I've caught is I can do as much as I want on a podcast, but for you to be who you are, and you get something different. You bring a little bit something different, and it's awesome. It's real.
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Al Snow got the plugs going. If the people want to follow you, obviously, is it Euro Stepping Podcast on Instagram or?
But Alvin _Snow Jr. on Instagram. By the way, they just verified your boy.
Blue check.
Blue check.
They just
He paid for it, though.
blue check shouted.
Somebody said he paid for it. No.
What's the rate for a blue check? How much they hitting
It costs about $5 racks.
What they hitting
Hey, you heard what Chris said. That little 10% don't let you pay for 5 racks, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, that's awesome. How about you, Chris?
Chris Hansen, PSB on Twitter, @Elite is Earned on Instagram.
Always making moves around the country. Check him out for all the latest and greatest camps.
It's summer too. We got some tank tops now. We got the merch. The online merch is doing pretty well. So if you need a tank top, I know Mark's asking me to send him a couple too. So we'll get those in the mail tomorrow.
I need a loan.
Oh man, Arvin Mosley.
Coach Mosley Jr., Coach Mosley Jr. You find me wherever. I'm easy to find. TripleImpactCoaching.org, virtualbasketballtraining.org. Coaching clinics, Sunday night coaching clinics. Don't miss out. We moved to 6 p.m. Sunday nights, virtual coaching clinics. This Sunday, Danton Jackson, Alabama State, and Jamal Walker, Grand Canyon University. A couple brothers doing big things in the college game.
I feel like I could do your plugs for you, as well as Hoop Official Mark Wilkerson.
Sir, Hoop Official. I really only have Instagram. I got off all the other stuff. Too much negative energy out there, so I really only use Instagram. But I post everything on there. Not everything, but I post a lot of my workouts, whether it's strength and conditioning, hoop workouts, what I'm about to go get to here in about 30 minutes, or whatever. Good highlights. It's all pertaining to basketball and working out. I keep it strictly to that. So that's what it is. Hoop Official.
Hoop Official. And last but not least, Mr. Rachi Wortham.
Coach RW @Coach RW with the K. I don't got no super duper websites or any of that. I need to step my game up messing with y'all and see how it works. You guys are motivating me. They say you be around 5 millionaires, you become the 6th. I like it. I'm gonna try to do that. But I appreciate. I've been following all you guys, man, and I appreciate the love and energy that you guys give out. It's big. The other thing I would say is this platform is special, Jeremy. And so keep doing what you're doing. I'm doing something similar, I guess, but it's a Zoom call with a bunch of kids. And some of you guys have been on there, but to take some community people in the communities to tell them real life stories and say how they can apply it to their lives. And then we bring them in with the carrot, and we get to talk to a couple professional athletes after, but give them real life game and tell them that it's bigger than basketball. And after the ball stops bouncing, you got to have a job. So I'm excited to be able to do that. And I'd love to have any one of you guys on there to converse about your stories if you haven't already.
Y'all just did the camp again. I saw Rachi, right?
The Zoom deal.
No, that was a throwback. That was throwback.
Nah, that was a throwback. Yeah.
That was a throwback pick.
Yeah. Y'all in though. When we do these free, I do a bunch of the camps every year. Try to do 2 or 3 camps for free every year because these kids need it, and so everybody can't afford to go to camp and pay for training and all this, that, and the third. And I was one of those kids who couldn't. So as much as I can do free, I try to.
Yep.
There we go. The community group. Thank you guys again, and I hope to do this again on the 300th episode.
Let's do it,
the man. And down there in 119 degrees heat.
Yeah, we're coming to you, Mills.
Oh.
You're hosting. You're hosting.
I got one extra room. Let's do this.
We're doing this by the pool next time. We're doing this by the pool.
Thank you again to Arvin Mosley Jr., Rachi Wortham, Chris Hansen, Alvin Snow, and Mark Wilkerson. What an episode so far. We've had speeches, we've had montages, we've had appearances, we've had major players, minor players, no players. What? We've had appearances by so many major players in Jeremy Mills' podcast history. And it all leads up to the main event. It's time for Rob and Mel and Jeremy and Jazmine. Hey.
Like your notes. Just post-it of notes. Look at that.
Yeah.
So professional.
That's right.
It's better than me. Yeah. That's that pre-pro.
That's
pre-production.
Rob had to go like put out a fire before the podcast started.
Just now?
Yeah. But,
He's low key
going
though.
crazy down. We need Jazz for the bird zone. We need some help over here.
I used to work with birds.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. 3 years. Got bit by them. It was fun. At the zoo.
So are they naturally just biters?
Depends on if you handle them when they're babies. If you handle them when they're little, then they're used to it. But if you just don't touch them, then they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" You know?
Yeah, Guido, he runs to the other side of the cage. If you put your hand in there, and then as soon as you get your hand in there where he knows that he can get you, he gonna get you.
And it hurts.
Yeah,
bird bites hurt.
That's the thing. They hurt bad.
Mm-hmm.
I used to put my hand right there and let him get me. just to let him know I wasn't afraid of him. Like you can't hurt me.
Getting him used to the taste of human flesh. That's what you're doing.
That's what it was all the wrong move.
It's like I like this. This is fun.
Yeah, it was the wrong move.
At the same time, he will only go to the other side of the cage if it's like me and or my brother, because we did do that experiment of just letting him bite. And then, he's like, these guys don't, they're not afraid or whatever.
These guys are crazy.
If anybody else come by, oh yeah, he's after him. He's after him.
Training? We didn't know anything about training. Remember, this bird was not supposed to be with us for a couple days. Right. It's turned into 13 years.
I'm still curious to see what kind of bird this is.
You got to take a picture of Guido and send it around.
There's only one person that can handle it. I'm gonna have my sister bring him over and give you.
Oh, cool! We got a bird.
We don't need a bird. Birds are for life.
Yeah.
Birds, they're awesome.
Birds are definitely gonna outlive me.
You think so? You're gonna die soon? Is that what you're saying?
In the next 50 years, probably.
Okay, that's pretty standard.
So.
Above.
How long are like average peers supposed to live for, like their lifespan?
Depends on the species. If it's like the bigger they are, the longer they live.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's like macaws, they live like 70 years. Little parakeets, they live like 9 years. So.
Okay, yeah. Definitely not no parakeet. Well, probably middle ground.
It's like 20 years out of him then, maybe?
20, maybe. It might last till 40.
There you go.
Yeah,
40
yeah, I think he hits 40. I think Guido hits 40. But he's like one of them old people that the grumpy old people, you know what I'm talking about. They last forever. You know, the really nice old people, they die in their 60s, 50s, 70s. Them old grumpy people, they last forever. Like I know that I was thinking about a teacher of mine the other day that was super mean to me. And I'm 100% sure she's still walking this earth. I know it.
You can feel it.
Sure. I know she is. Miss Lockett somewhere out there right now talking bad about me.
She's listening.
At King.
Huh? At Martin Luther King?
Yeah. She was mean. Listen, Miss Lockett called me ugly.
Oh my God.
To my face as a child. She called me ugly, told me I was gonna go to jail.
Jesus.
And yeah. So look, this is the type of shit that happens when you're a young kid. I was super little, and I'm just like, I'm up there presenting, I'm talking. That's what I do. I've been doing this, right? And I knew to this. You guys remember Dare?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing Dare. And the Dare officer, we used to call her Officer Dare because she didn't want us addressing her by her first name and everybody would forget her last name. So we call her Officer Dare. And I did like a Dare presentation and I did something cool at school. And like, I had my hand on her shoulder and I did the like thumbs up for the picture. And that made my teacher say I was going to abuse women when I grew up.
What?
How dare you touch a woman?
She said if you touched her, you're going to abuse women when you grow up.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, we got our friend here. We got our friend Cam to visit us.
Oh, live on the air. Let's go.
Oh, there's Guido. There's Guido.
Oh, he's being nice. Oh, never mind.
He's like,
whoa.
That's Guido. He's a gangster.
That's cute.
Guido, say hi to the
Guido, welcome to the pod.
Guido.
Welcome to the pod.
He was. You hear him? He's talking stuff.
Jazmine, work your magic.
He's on. This
This
is the only person that can see him. It's our little sister. Oh, good Lord. Maybe I can get him.
Guido looks so tough.
He is.
Step up. No, you have to say step up like you're not scared of him.
Step up.
Like you're not scared. Can sense your
Like you're
fear.
not scared.
I'm telling you, he was a Tyrannosaurus Rex in his past life.
He's being nice. I told him to be pod ready, so he's being a little bit nicer today.
Oh, okay. Welcome to the pod, brother.
Would you hold a parrot like that?
No way. He would know. He can already tell through the screen. I can tell by the look on his face. He's like, I've heard about this guy.
You.
He's
I've
like,
been hearing you from my room.
see, yeah. He's like, watch
Look,
this.
look. But see, he won't bite. He nibbles at my sister, but he doesn't bite her like that.
He tastes me to make sure I am who I am.
Where's the rat? I gotta get him.
No.
I'm crying.
Now, if that's me, he's trying to fight.
He's so tough looking. But he can talk?
Man.
He can curse.
He'll
He can curse.
once in a while. He can curse.
I'll bleep it out.
He curses all the time.
Hi.
Guido.
What's up?
Yeah, if a pretty girl walks in, he does that.
He will.
Walk in.
Excuse me. I dare you.
He's a laugher, but he hasn't laughed in a while. I don't know what that's due
Yes, he
to.
does. If I'm laughing anyway, he'll laugh.
I haven't heard him laugh in a while.
All right, I'm not hurry. It's me. Relax, we're good.
Dang.
But yeah, we'll bring him back. We'll bring him around.
Get the freak away from me.
Nice.
He's
they-
great.
Jack Hanna doesn't have anything on me.
On you?
You said what?
Jack Hanna doesn't have anything on me now.
But you didn't touch the parrot.
It's on the show.
It's on the show. Make a big move.
Big move. I knew so when I was designing this episode that I kind of wanted to make it like WrestleMania, basically, and have like a couple matches, like, you know, a good first match. I got Johnathan and Jamal going, and then have a good middle part. I got the community group, and then I was like, who's going to be the main event? Who's the new up and coming stars on the pod?
Guido.
Who are we going to give the championship to? Yeah, Guido. Yeah, she says Guido. Rob and Mel, of course.
Oh, I see.
Who's the main event? Bringing the heat.
Oh man.
Ooh.
No, he doesn't want you.
He's dead.
Oh my God.
What did he say?
All right, we're gonna let Guido go by.
He said you're getting too comfortable. Stop.
See you around.
Yeah, but, all right.
See you, Guido.
Together. I'll see you around.
Bye, Guido. Goodbye, Guido. All right, my friend.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah. Oh man, that is awesome.
You know, I just thought about it. I was just texting before this started with B. Roy's cousin. I didn't know if he'd ever heard your podcast, but he's gonna hear it now.
Red.
Yeah, I was talking to Red. He's sending it to him.
That's awesome.
Okay.
That's awesome.
How was your guys' first week of July? Your first Saturday of July. Another pet thing. My brother he had problems on the 4th.
I hate the 4th.
Yeah,
I hate the 4th. I hate fireworks because it scares the shit out of my dogs, and I get so mad.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of dogs do you guys have?
Little Chihuahua things. They're sleeping. I would get a big dog, but Jeremy says no.
What kind of dog do you want?
I'll take anything. I
mean, big dog status. Like, if you were to get a big dog, what would be your breed of choice?
Like a Great Pyrenees.
Oh, those are big.
Those are big.
Okay.
But I like them because they're lazy, because they're sheep watchers. They don't need to run, nothing like that. So they're fine in an apartment. If you want to keep them in an apartment, they're chill. But they have a lot of hair, so.
Lots of hair.
Lots of hair.
Yeah.
Jeremy would be so mad when we get one day.
I could practice my barber skills.
I mean, based on what your hair looks like.
Okay. I'm struggling, so I'm struggling.
No, man, you guys would be great. I'm gonna tell you this thing here. When it comes to big dogs, my favorite is a Cane Corso, right?
Oh yeah, that's cool too.
Those are lay around. They're short hair. A lot of people are they're becoming more popular right now, which is screwing me up because the more popular they become, the more I can't afford them.
I mean, there's probably rescues out there because if they're popular, then people will get them and they'll be like, nah, this isn't a dog for me. Return.
Yeah, too big. And, you know, I thought about that. It's just I want to raise one from the dirt because I want my kids to be like really, really around them. And I want it to look at me. Yeah, like I want it like right after they're born, 4 weeks in, I want to be right there.
4 weeks.
Touching, touching them with with like a little blanket or something, you know, rubbing it around the rest of the other babies. Bring that blanket home with me, so then when I bring the dog home with me, the dog will be able to recognize the smell of his old pack.
It's an interesting technique I've never heard.
Yeah.
It's an inspiring dog trainer here.
I just want to have my dog.
Okay.
Well,
sounds like something I would do.
Well, because sometimes dogs come home and they don't really like, you know, they get kind of nervous and stuff about their new surroundings. You know, you give them that familiar scent. You know, it'll help them out a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Jazmine prefers dogs with like sore knees and like eyes that are starting to go out.
That's my jam. Little broken. Anybody can get a healthy dog. I like the broken ones. That's why I married Jeremy.
He's a little broken pup.
Yeah, he busted his ankle. He's always crying about something. He got a paper cut the other day. It was like the end of the fucking world.
More than a paper cut.
There's a side desk corner cut. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's hilarious. Well, you're doing a great job with him. He's growing up.
Thank
He's going to
you.
being an amazing person.
I'm trying.
I'm proud. I'm
He's
proud.
hard work.
Thank you, Rob.
Have to
Mills
feed
is so
him.
respected around these parts. He's respected around these parts. So now one of our topics was definitely we got to embarrass Mills.
Oh yeah.
So what was Mills's what was his line? What was his like? Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Jeremy, and like the,
Okay.
like what was the punchline there? If you remember it,
Oh, I have to hold this. Okay.
Yeah, go in.
We used to work together. That's how we met. And we lived really close together. So I would drive him to work sometimes. And I had this collapsible dog water bowl in my car. And sometimes he would put that on my head and be like, hey, you're in a hat. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck this guy's doing. I guess that's cute.
Give him that one.
But we went on our first date when he said, we live close to each other. We should probably hang out. And in my head, I was like, he's not asking me out. He's a player. I think he has a girlfriend, whatever. He's busted all the time. He's like...
She had a lot of opinions.
Yeah, he thinks he's so cool. Whatever. I guess I'll hang out with him, though, because he lives close by. That seems like a reasonable proposition. So that's how we went on our first date. I didn't know it was a date.
Sounds like all business.
Yep, all business. That's how it was.
Oh man, he used the proximity to get you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he lived like 5 minutes away, which was walk to his house.
We're not doing anything.
Yeah,
might as well not do anything together.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
I was like, that seems reasonable.
We got work Friday, so we might as well go on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly how it was.
I was making the schedule at the time. I'm like, let me put this day off together. No, I don't think so.
Frick. Yeah, and he was my boss at the time. I should probably Me Too'd.
Oh, no.
Me too. Oh, no. That's classic.
That's messed up.
that's a true player move right there, Mills. That's a good one.
It worked. That's all
Hey, the final product is all that matters, right?
Mm-hmm. Because she's a type of girl. She's deadpan, so I didn't have any idea if she liked me, 1, as a friend, 2, as anything else. So I was like, well, only one way to find out.
You still don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. After this podcast, we'll see.
Agreed.
Why am I holding this?
I'll fall into line here.
We see Will and Jada for lifetime progress, lifetime deal here. Got to figure out as we go along.
That's right,
man.
That's right.
That's great right there, though. I mean, it's actually great because you were the boss. You guys had to go over the numbers. But might as well do it over dinner.
That's the only time.
Yeah. Let's we got business to talk over.
Yeah. You were like, hey, you've been taking long lunches. I need to talk to you about this. We got to go over that. Productivity's been down.
This is this clip is gonna come haunt me one day. It's gonna be replayed, getting retweeted 5,000 times.
See, no, it's not. Look, it's gonna take a while. This pod is gonna go into like that like Rogan status. You're gonna get like 100 million downloads every week.
Scary.
Then that's gonna come back. They're gonna come back to this pod. They're gonna be like, look at this man. Look how terrible he is.
I was in Boulder, and this waitress, I had to do what I had to do. Joey's
a waitress in Boulder.
Man, you can't even joke, Mills. Don't joke.
I know. You cannot even joke.
Don't get in trouble.
Gotta relax.
I think the only question I had was I asked, Johnathan and Jamal how they remember the pod starting.
Like from your perspective, what do you remember about like before the pod and then me starting it and then after and me doing the first Pro-Am pod?
I mean, you've been doing the pod forever. It seems like you're always doing something. Back when it was just on your phone, recording on your phone all the time, recording with just your friends, real shitty sounding, you know.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like you've been doing this pod forever. Always kicking me out of the living room. Man, I gotta record. Get out. Get the freak out. Like, okay, I'll go into the bedroom by myself with the dogs.
Fake news. I just like everybody to know.
Kicking me out.
Kicking you out.
Kicking me out.
Man.
Like, okay, I'll walk the dogs or something, I guess.
No, that's not how it goes at all. But we're about to have a pod room, so it's about to get better. So
it's true.
Nice. Yeah, my next place, I'm gonna have a room where it's just mine, and I'm gonna have like a special like door where they just can't walk in without like a secret code or something. Man, 'cause, I'll be trying to pod or something. My son will come in and be like, Dad, who would win? Hey man,
who would win?
Yeah, always.
That's an important question, though.
If it's not comic books or like wrestling or now he's asked me a lot of basketball questions. He got to meet Jamal last summer and really like hang out with him a couple of times, and he's just like, so is he better than and it's always is he better than this guy? Is he better than that guy? And I gotta give Jamal all the love. Like, yeah, he's great. He's better than all these guys. Yeah, forget them all. So my son's just walking around thinking Jamal's better than like LeBron and Curry and all the guys. I'm like, hey, did Curry take a picture with you? No, he didn't. Did LeBron come take a picture with you? No, he didn't. Jamal's better than him.
No, he didn't.
Is he better than Shuttleworth? Oh, you still haven't seen it.
No,
you
man.
haven't seen he got good yet.
No, man. That's going to be like my to-do as I go down to Arizona here.
What?
Watch all these movies I've been missing.
Wait. And the missus, you've never seen He Got Game.
The what? Haven't seen the what?
Game.
The what game?
He Got Game.
No.
Okay.
Kind of reminds me of how you guys met each other. Yeah, I'm not met each other, but
wait, what movie is that?
It's
Spike Lee.
It's
it's a Spike Lee movie.
There you go.
Oh, okay, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a Spike Lee movie. It's a deep movie for those like I'd suggest any parent who's got a kid growing up that may end up playing at a high level and you can kind of see it. Watch He Got Game to see what your kid's gonna have to go through. And to know what you can't do. I feel like if Zion's parents had watched this, we wouldn't be going through this right now. All right. Zion's stepfather's over here taking money. Bro, don't do it. I mean, don't do it to your account at least. Do it to somewhere else. Offshore something. Don't sign nothing. Don't, everything third person, man. Yeah.
Hey, so tell us more about when you guys are leaving next month when the Arizona move. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more here.
Me? What do you mean? What about it? The traveling, the anything?
So you guys are going to drive down there?
We're driving down there. We're going to drive for 2.5 days with 4 cats and 2 dogs in the car. And
it's a nice drive.
Huh? I know. I'm excited. We just have to not bust the car out with the heat and everything. I hear that your car can overheat really fast, so that'll be kind of bad.
And what part is he again?
Glendale, which apparently is the ghetto part of Arizona, but that's fine.
It's nice out there. It's really nice. It's nice there though. At the same time,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, but both parts. It's kind of the closest thing to like a Seattle, honestly, in Arizona. If I would have to say so, compared to Tucson and Phoenix, it's kind of not similar vibes. People are a little bit cooler, but yeah, I like Glendale whenever I was out there.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't trust what people say on the internet about things like that anyway, because I'm sure they would describe like where I live or where you live as scary and you're going to get killed on the Ave.
For sure.
Oh, well, it is scary out here.
I want to give it to you guys straight. the one thing that I would be fearful of in you guys' shoes going to Glendale, Arizona, is the last 2 summers in a row, people have posted pictures of tires melting on cars. It's been so hot.
God.
So that's the only thing.
You really want to be a vet, or you could always
Forget
you
it.
gotta go. But it's hot on another level. It's I don't even know if that's
Is it
hot.
called typhoon season? Is it season in the summertime? It's supposed to be like windstorms and stuff like that. Just summers are kind of rough in Arizona. I've heard. I've never been out there in the summer, but yeah, typhoon. Is that right? Nobody's familiar.
Yeah, something
Cool,
like there's like a windstorm called like a haboob, and then
What's a haboob?
a dust storm.
A haboob? Is
Something
what
like
it's called?
that. I think so. I think
Guys,
it really is.
So all the white in your closet, just get that out of there. Just get that out of there. I went to visit Rob when he was down in Arizona playing college, and mind you, this is winter. It's college basketball season, right? I'm in some white. I was in some white on white Air Forces. Those were brown after the first time I went outside. I'd never seen a storm of heat and dust before. I got back in the car. Every car looked like it had been outside in like the desert for years after the storm went through. Yeah, after the storm went through. I was like, what is going on? You know, I mean, my little rental was just covered. It was terrible.
Like the Great Depression every couple weeks.
Yeah. You know what I was waiting for? I was waiting for one of those things like that you see in like the Western movies.
The tumbleweeds?
Tumbleweeds. I was waiting for that. No, man. I was too scared to be waiting outside. I ran right into Walmart.
Yes, Walmart is a safe haven for everybody.
Is there tumbleweeds in Kansas?
Oh yeah, definitely tumbleweeds, like thunder and lightning that will like shake your house. You know, obviously, there's like just always like tornado watches and tornado warnings during certain times of the year. That's always like such a reality check. You're like, I'm having a good day, but the sky is like kind of a little cold all of a sudden, and then the sky is real dark. And then you're just like, oh, we might have to find shelter. We might not be able to do whatever we're thinking about doing.
Wow.
Humbling.
That's scary.
That depression sounds a little bit greater than Arizona.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's not how Arizona is. I figure there's no earthquakes. That's what's been in the back of my mind. Like tornadoes.
Worried about an earthquake.
Mm-hmm. Tornadoes used to be in the back of my mind a little bit, you know, like that's what can keep you in check. And earthquakes here, having a good time too much. Earthquake will keep you in check.
Having a good time too much.
That's right. You just always have to keep that in the back of your head. Watch the door.
Have you experienced an earthquake here?
No.
Okay.
Man.
You haven't had any earthquake here since you've been?
Nothing. You have though, right?
I have. Mm-hmm. What was it? 5th grade, I think. I was pissed because it was right before recess, and then it was the entire duration of recess.
After that.
And then we had to go back into class and learn. I was like, what the frick? Mother Nature. I'm pissed.
Speaking of Kansas, I'm not sure. I haven't gotten through all the episodes. I'm like trying to go like episode for episode on the pod.
Dang.
Were you? I know, right? It's a while for me.
That is.
Were you able to get? Were you ever able to get Roderick Stewart on here?
No, it was. We were talking at one point, and then it kind of fell apart. But I'd love to.
Man, I might have to see if I can hit one of his brothers or something. Be like, man, talk him into this because he played for the Jayhawks, man.
Mm-hmm.
He got to be on here. You know,
one of the best. Like that's who Jamal was saying is like interview him. He's one of the him and his brother.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
well, that's easy.
They're
Next
like
week.
They're awesome.
Next week.
Rob's got it.
Got it
scheduled. Matter of fact, if you had him, I think that you should probably have him, obviously his twin brother, and then the younger set of twins on at the same time.
That would be really cool.
This family has 2 sets of twins in it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. And their father, like, Bull, like he's a beast. He's a beast, man. Like, he's a beast.
He can make them twins.
Bull, I'm saying just athletically,
God.
Bull is still a beast.
What a nightmare that would be.
Yeah,
They're literally the reason I wanted to go to Rainier Beach High School. I mean, because they're the younger twins. They played on the AU team. They're a year younger than me. They played on that team, and I just remember they pulled up. And at the time, the Hummers was a cool thing, and they were going to USC. They pulled up in a burgundy Hummer. I was like, oh, I want to go to whatever school. They're going. I haven't even been around. Didn't even see the school. I was like, I'm going there. I don't care anything else.
They gotta be on, man. They're to me, they're Seattle legends. They are without a doubt got to be on, man. They got to get on. Definitely. Mills now.
Exactly, it was.
Definitely.
High school. Yeah.
Mills, so you don't want pets, or what pets are you down to have other than the ones you already have?
I love all the pets we have. I say once we have a house and once we don't have to, apply for another apartment and tell them how many animals we have, like I'm good with whatever. As long as we don't have snakes, spiders, or anything weird like that. Probably, I don't even know about a bird, to be honest.
Reptiles of any kind.
Yeah. None of those are like real old animals. Something from like a few hundred years, No like ancient.
No ancient animals.
Exactly.
No fossils, no dinosaurs, no sharks.
Who's here is scared of snakes? No, you're not. Whoa, Rob, no.
I own the snake. I own the snake.
Oh, what kind of snake?
I'm lying. I'm probably scared of snakes.
Rob held my snake. He held my corn snake. I had a corn snake, beginner snake. That's the one.
Corn snake. There you go.
You get into a corn snake, you'll be fine. Like they are very calm. My corn snake, I don't know how he knew what I was feeling, but he knew what I was feeling. So like,
he had an emotional support snake.
He never did. He never acted out. He never did anything crazy. Like throughout the time I had him, he bit one person.
Oh my God.
So let me explain to you why he bit this one person. So look, there was this one girl that I lived in the party house, right? So me and my roommates, we'd always and they'd have these girls come over that I didn't like, and I was the only spoken for one in the house at the time, right? And there was this one girl who always used to push the envelope, and I used to just despise her. And one day she was like, "Let me hold your raggedy snake." I was like, "Oh, really?" I said, "I hope she's scared of this snake. I hope she's scared of him." And I bring him over, and she's not scared. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So my snake, I think he can feel it. And he starts like coiling up real good. And I'm like, huh. And so
like, she called me raggedy.
I think he heard her. He definitely did, or something. And she's holding him, and she's just like, this would be sexy, but this snake is raggedy. And he pooped on her. And when he pooped on her, mind you, we were all just about to go out. And snake poop stinks. Huh. So
I didn't even know they did that.
You didn't know they pooped?
Yeah, man, they poop. It stinks. So I'm taking him from her, and she's almost trying to fling him. And so he just nips her. Pow, real good. And I was like, I waited till she wasn't looking. I'm like, good boy. I did not like that girl, man. She kept coming around too. I don't know why. I just couldn't stand her around.
I think animals can pick up on that energy every once in a while, though. Like they'll feel that. They'll feel that.
That's why you guys have to have a big dog. You got to have a big dog. Your dog will know. It will know who you don't like. It will know who you don't like, and it will protect you. It will definitely do it.
A secondary quick snake story. I'm not afraid of snakes, but snakes are the cause of I have huge anxiety when it comes to doing things in front of people, not like a basketball, but talking speeches, whatever. You know how in elementary, they used to always have the red tie people or different guests for assemblies. And they're like, who wants to come up? And everybody raised their hands. I was never picked as a kid to like get to be chosen until the reptile people came.
Oh,
they picked me. I had a huge boa constrictor on me, and it was like it was wrapping around my whole body, and I was just shaking like, oh my goodness. And like ever since then, like I like pass out if I have to speak in front of people to this day. Crazy.
Would you do that?
No way.
No big constrictor on you?
I honestly might rather get like shot with a BB gun from point blank range or something like that.
Oh no.
Really?
Yeah,
Then have a constrictor?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even bite like that.
They don't bite.
I don't know.
They don't bite.
My brain would tell him bite this time.
Bite me?
Yeah, bite me, please. Like my history with birds, as dogs when I was younger too, I used to give off that energy of please chase me, please bite me. So,
oh my goodness, I have to admit, I have to confess my sins, Jad. You might. This is the reason that cats don't like me.
Oh no!
I hope you don't dislike me for the Jazz. I'm so sorry, and I'm so like I'm a changed person now. But like it's part of my past. It has to come. It has to come to light. The truth will always come to light. When I was younger, I was in middle school, and like I didn't really mess with cats that much. I used to have mean cats around, so whatever. But cats would like me, whatever. Until this one day, I was practicing my skating skills, and I had my friends over. I just wanted to be cool in front of the friends. There was a cat, and I'm over here baying it towards me. I was like, hey, kitty. And with my skates on, I booted the cat. It went at least 15 yards into a bush. And then I was just like, not ever since that day, I still didn't, I was trying to be cool. But then one day something else happened. And from then I'm like, oh my goodness. Like cats, they're like precious to my heart, but they don't like me. They feel that energy. That's going back to that energy point.
They remember.
Really they know what I did back then. They said we should do another.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I feel that. Not that I've done anything like that, but the dogs look at me sometimes just like, you used to have outside dogs. Jazmine does not even like that. Not even like outside dogs.
You don't like outside dogs?
I mean, in Kansas, when I visited, the families would have like their outside dog, which is like their big dog, and then they'd have their inside dogs, which is like their chihuahua. Like, what the fuck's an inside dog versus an outside dog? You keep your big dog outside and your little dog inside? That doesn't make any sense to me. You bring them all in.
I'm negotiating that. I'm negotiating that in my lifestyle, okay? My lady wants a dog, all right? I want a dog. I want a Cane Corso, right?
To now, rub with a blanket. Okay.
Yeah, Cane Corsos can get real big. They can get real big. Now, she's like she's a dog lover on a different kind of dog lover. Like she like really loves them, and I love them too. But like, I'm not like kiss me in the mouth, dog. Nope.
It's him.
Leave that alone, right? But like she's all for it, and I'm not about to let my dog lay on the bed with me. We can lay on the floor. You can't lay on this bed, and you can't get on this couch. But she's all good for all that. So we're gonna have like a power struggle in the house for that. But it's like we were trying to come to.
That's what he thought we would have.
Exactly right.
So no comment.
She's all down for that, man. I'm not. I can't do it because look, it's gonna be almost a 200-pound dog. You want it just laying on you?
So
no,
you get a
get off me.
California King for the dog too, and you all share.
Jazmine's the type of person who will, if the animals are already comfortable, she'll like contort herself, like bend L-shaped to not disturb any of them. It's like I got to get comfortable first. I love dogs, but I'm not
like be like moving, throwing the dogs off the bed.
Excuse me, my friend.
On the dog.
Excuse me, my friend.
It's just like I'll get comfortable first, and then they can get comfortable around me. Mainly because I'm bigger than them. That's just how Tetris works,
That's just how Tetris works.
But you get that great pair of knees, you're not gonna be bigger than that.
Yeah, he'll be like, "Go ahead, try to move me."
I'll be like, "I'll
try to move me."
Yeah.
Yes. Those dogs are huge.
Mm-hmm.
They're really big. Like a Cane Corso can get up to like 200, but like I don't. They're healthy at 120, 150. Male women, right? Male to female, but I went and looked at one the other day. He was like 220 pounds.
How much does a cane corso cost?
So now that they're getting more popular, we're looking at a couple grand. Before, we were looking at like 800, 900. Now I got people talking about, 4,000. 4,000 for what? For the whole, like
a Prius and the car?
Yeah. I'm like, am I getting a girl and a boy for that much? No, just one. But I know some other breeders too out here that are. It's tough because you got to deal with Washington State. Once you go to other states, the prices go down more. Because in our state, they're not a rare breed, but they're just not as many people breeding them here, especially full bred versus like having a mix with like everybody's mixing with pit bulls, and I'm just like, I don't want a pit corso. I want a Connie Corso. That's it.
That's it.
One of my buddies has a Borbo Connie Corso. That's a bear. That's a whole bear. That is a dog. Like if you see a Borbo, a Borbo's head is you guys' head together, and then it's still shoulder width to shoulder width. It's so big, and then you're adding the Connie Corso size to it.
Man.
It's not nothing to mess with, man.
I don't know if I could have I don't think I could have a dog eating more than me. I'd have some sort of issue with that for some reason.
Eat more than you?
Mm-hmm. I got to be eating more than the dog. My meal has to be bigger.
I bet Star could eat more than you right now.
Episode 201, Jeremy versus Star.
A mukbang with this dog.
That's kind of the thing I could wrap up here with maybe is what do you want to see? This is episode 200. What do you want to see from episode, 200 to 250 or episode 200 to 300? I'll let Rob start.
Just a continuation, man. You're killing it out here, dude. I'm just looking back to some of the old pods, and just like there's some of the people that I look up to now, like in the certain field, like physical training. What's his name? Is it Geek? Sports Geek.
Oh yeah,
that's somebody. Yeah, like that's somebody I like. I admire like what he does now, and just certain people like that. It made me gain respect for like people like not that I didn't respect them. I talked about how much I loved the jumper and stuff like that. But like your Al Snow interviews put me on to people in Tacoma. Can't think of the guy's name, but that does the Y stuff and does all the empowerment. He's a great dude. Like just a continuation, man. Keeping your relationships, building new ones in Arizona. I'm looking forward to the people you meet out there, and just keep it going. And seeing Jazz some more, hearing Jazz on here some more, of course.
Oh God.
See, I'm not making that up. I'm not making that up. Thank you, man. Thank you.
I do enjoy hearing Jazz on here and getting on you, of course, and her opinions. That 4th of July one, kind of helped me transition out of not having that as a holiday anymore.
No fireworks.
Because fireworks are over. Yeah.
She's like, I don't know what you have going on, but I don't like fireworks.
I don't like fireworks.
Bigger things at hand here, man. Mel, what do you think?
Man, I do want to make sure I give y'all props. Mills, you've been doing great, bro. Like the sky's the limit. You're going to keep growing. We hope just to stay with you and keep being a part of it. But when it comes to the next episode, man, it's tough because I was going to suggest something that would have been more visual, less audio. So I got to figure something out. Maybe for the one time, if you did a visual only, I need you to do, how you deal with spicy foods?
I could do pretty good.
Ooh,
yeah.
Hot one style.
I need you a hot ones episode. If there was not quarantine, I'd be driving to your house right now with all my hot sauces and be like, all right, let's do it.
Before I leave, if we can make that happen, that would be amazing.
Man, because I'm one of those guys. I've actually done the hot ones, what they got on the show. Like,
dang, how was it? How did you do? You're good with hot food, right?
I'm good with hot food. It was great, man. It's crazy because I use hotter stuff than what they have on the show. And man, that hotter stuff hits you. It hits you. Look out for the bomb. That's to me the baddest thing they got on that show. But I got this other stuff called like Satan's Blood.
Satan's Blood.
That is, yeah, right. That just in the name alone, it just tells you. It just tells you not to mess with it, huh?
Satan's Blood doesn't have the taste to it. That one's just a burner.
No, Satan's Blood is just
a burner.
It kicks you in the mouth really hard.
That's the one that had me hurt for a minute.
No, you were hurt on the other one. You were hurt on the other one.
I can't even imagine the stomach ache you'll get after doing that. He says stomach ache after eating cheese.
You got to take the Pepto-Bismol
before.
Hit that beforehand, in the middle, and after. That's what geniuses do. Don't try to be bold and just go into this with some water. Don't do that. Don't do it.
And it sounds like in person or not, that sounds like a deal for it. I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, even if it's not, let's do it. Let's the next 23rd, whatever that is.
Yeah, if some of you guys want to do for sure. And then I'm looking forward to seeing that twin collaboration. Yeah, cauliflower wings, those are fire. Actually, have you guys ever visited that? It's like a Hawaiian themed restaurant over on when you're going to SBU and you cross over to the bridge. What's that area called over there?
Going to
SBU.
You got this.
And then you take the ride over there.
I know that route exactly, but
like Ballard, Fremont,
probably.
Yeah,
Fremont. Okay,
it's Fremont.
Yeah, it's a great vegan restaurant over there. It got some fire cauliflower wings. Definitely got to try it if you haven't before you leave.
Okay,
I'll figure out what it is. I'll send it to you after this is over.
Cool.
There we go.
I miss Fremont.
And to finish, what about you? What do you want to see from the next 200? Would you like to see me stop doing the podcast?
That'd be great if you could just stop talking so much.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No. I don't know. You're doing good, hun. Keep going and stuff. Okay.
I appreciate all you guys. You were the main event for a reason. You'll definitely be continuing on. You've added such a great element to the podcast, and I look forward to every one that we do and coming up with topics and everything. So I appreciate you. Appreciate all the support. I appreciate what you do and the people you are. And I connect with you on a great level. I feel like you're like my brothers who I just didn't grow up with, basically. So
for sure, man.
Love it. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for being the main event. Episode 200.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
Or matter of fact, sorry.
Oh, Link. Yeah.
Okay. Shout out to them boys.
And that does it for the 200th episode of the Jeremy Mills Podcast. Thanks again to Jamal Crawford, Johnathan Mills, Arvin Mosley Jr., Rachi Wortham, Chris Hansen, Alvin Snow, and Mark Wilkerson, Robin Mel Harris, and Jazmine. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you for another 200 episodes.